Now let's look at Databricks Unity Catalog in Privacera. And so for PolicySync connectors, there's a very similar pattern. We'll look at settings, applications, and for PolicySync, a good example would be Databricks Unity Catalog. It uses an API connection, but it also uses the PolicySync connection. Again, if you had more than one connection, you'd see more than one entry here. But for this example, we'll click on Databricks Unity Catalog. You can see this actually contains the settings for both access management and data discovery, both of which we've covered in other videos in more detail, but the settings for each one needs to be independently controlled. There's some slight differences. So if we click on, in this case, access management, it's basically going to ask us for a URL and a personal access token, as well as this JDBC URL. The rest of the settings are for limiting uh, where you'd like Privacera to take control of different uh, data aspects of your database. So if you want it to be accessing only certain catalogs, if you want it to be accessing only certain tables, all that can be controlled both here and then in the advanced menu, for example. So we won't go through all those settings. There's quite a number of settings and capabilities that are included there to enable very high fine-grained control. Um, but again, what happens is you go in here, you set this up, get the settings working. The initial thing that's done is under access management, you'll see an entry that says, in this case, Databricks Unity Catalog for the catalog connection that was just created. And again, you'll see here this user Databricks Unity Catalog on these first handful of policies, 775 through 782. Those are the system created policies, again, for the uh, areas that you've allowed Privacera to control. It creates an initial denial set of policies. And then to allow access, you're going to need to uh, create and turn on an individual policy to allow access. So here we say for Sally IC, this user in the catalog Insight Corp for demo schema, table sales data for all columns. Sally has the ability to use the catalog, create tables, use the schema, and run a select. And finally, to kind of show you another way to check and see that that's working and understand what's happening, if we go to PolicySync, we can always set a condition where we say connector equals something, and that, you can see that I've done that here. Connector equals Databricks Unity Catalog, so it's only showing us the entries for Unity Catalog. It's also only showing us entries from this time frame, last 7 days. And you can see here individually what's happening. You can see the actual SQL that's written for each action that's actually happening. So what's happening, who's it happening for, um, if things weren't working, or if there was a problem with the connection, you'd see some of these status here. These applied items would say denied, or there would be some other error messaging here. You'd be able to tell you weren't pushing policies to the system itself. This again is enabling mainly fine-grained access control, but this is where you'd go to determine, once you've configured it, a good place to go to look to determine if it's working.